Hi guys, in this video, I'll be giving a recap of our 2022-2023 school year. This video is actually a little bit later than I would have liked to put it out. The last 2 months of our homeschool was affected by some stuff that we had to deal with within, like our family life. So it was pretty rough. But that's what homeschool allows for you to be able to, kind of deal with those things and adjust, and that's what we will have to do. That being said, I wasn't able to focus on science like I wanted to at the end of the last semester, and we did get through our grammar and math, but that's probably because we had a pretty good pace throughout the year, and we finished most of our writing. Everything else was either half, three-quarter. A lot of the Evermore books we got through a lot less, especially for the reading comprehension for my youngest that I had switched in the last semester. We just got through a lot less this year than we did, the prior years that we used some of them. But all in all, I'm comfortable with where they're at, and we'll just take it up from where we left off last year. That's just how life is sometimes. It's not the first time that I've had something that kind of really interrupted our homeschool. This time wasn't as bad, crazy to say, but such is life. But anyway, at the last minute, I picked up these Spectrum books just because of how things ended, for my own peace of mind, just to kind of test and see where they're at. I know that it's not necessary, well, probably wasn't necessary, but for my peace of mind. I used the Spectrum books once before I think when my eldest was probably in the 2nd or the 3rd grade. They did well. Now for my eldest, she wasn't able to complete all of the pre-algebra questions. The language arts was really easy for her, but the pre-algebra questions, she wasn't able to answer all of them. And the ones that she was able to answer was only because she had a little bit of exposure reading the Big Fat Notebook, algebra and math books, and then other supplements that we used throughout the years with Math UC. With Math UC, she is now moving in to pre-algebra, and I will talk more about that when we get to math. But all in all, these did what I was, expecting them to do, and I feel comfortable with where we are at, despite how we were able to close off the school year. Now for my youngest, I'm just going to be going back and forth between the different grades. My youngest was in the 2nd grade. She's going 3rd. She's 8. My 10-year-old is moving from the 4th to the 5th grade, and my 12-year-old is moving from the 7th grade to the 8th grade. We started her off with these Scholastic Comprehension books that were really easy for her, the 2nd and the 3rd grade. And in the last semester, I switched to this. Now, she only was able to complete a few of these exercises, and I prefer the stories in here and the way how the questions are structured. They were just a little bit more challenging than the Scholastic, in my opinion. Not hard at all, but they were a better fit. However, moving forward, I think I am probably going to try and do this reading detective and reading comprehension with both her and my 10-year-old. Now, if it's too difficult for her, I will continue with this even more. I'll just do the 3rd grade. But initially, I'm probably going to be using this with both her and my 10-year-old. I really like this for my 10-year-old. I shared on my channel before that we do have some learning challenges to take into consideration when we're working with her, and some that I'm not, it's just too personal of her business to put on the internet, but it still does affect the way that she learns. And so I do have to take that into consideration, but it kind of works out because my youngest, she is a very active child, and she can't sit very long for long period of time, just still. So them kind of working together and interacting, it kind of helps her too. However, anyway, if I find that she's kind of being dragged along and it's too difficult, as I said, I'll continue with the Evermore. But I like this critical thinking company reading comprehension. All right, for my eldest, we also use the Critical Thinking Company for her and the Evermore. I'd also bought the 8th grade, but we never actually got to the 8th grade reading comprehension book. So bought it for nothing, because I am actually not going to be using this with her moving forward. She enjoyed the stories in both of them, and they are helping to reinforce the different aspects that needs to be, learned when, thinking about how it is they read and comprehend what it is they're reading. A lot of the concepts, however, are not new to her, only because she reads a lot on her own. So it does provide review for her, and I like it from that perspective. That being said, we are going to continue with this. We're just not going to we're not going to be attempting every single exercise moving forward. So whatever exercises, she wants to complete that she thinks that it will be a benefit to her, that's what we're going to do as we move to the B1 and the RX level in this series. So I do like this Critical Thinking Company. I especially like it for my 10-year-old, and we'll see how it works for my 8-year-old. Paragraph editing. Now, I do like this, and I think it goes nicely with this fixed grammar. If it is your young one needs the extra editing practice, then it's a good fit for extra practice. However, at the end of the school year, with what we did complete, I sat down with all my kids and we were just talking about it. And if it is from their own perspectives, if they thought that it, helped them in any way, if they found that they were improving and not getting as much, as many mistakes when they were doing it in the Evermore. Plus, of course, I am able to kind of go through, because I have them correct. This one is my eldest. They use colored when they're making. I don't know if you can see that. It's pink. When they have to correct their work, they have their favorite colors, pink, blue, and purple. So it's easy for me to see the corrections. But anyway, I kind of went through, and yes, they had errors, but based on the amount of errors that they had, and comparing that to what they would, I don't know if you can see that because the camera is getting all washed out, but anyway, when I compare that to the amount of errors that they were getting in their fixed grammar, I think it's just Busywork. And this coming school year, as much as possible, my goal is to take out as much of the Busywork that I had us doing over the last couple of years, which I was doing for multiple reasons. But this year I really want us to focus on writing again, because I did that with my eldest last year, but I want to focus on writing for all of them. I want to focus on science, and we have quite a few electives that we have been doing that they're really enjoying, like they're sewing. I picked up gardening that I'm kind of dragging them along with that. I'm actually really enjoying it this time around. And just my eldest is doing coding. She's been coding for years. We want to continue with that. They're typing. It's the end of her middle school years. I want to make sure that we are tying up any loose ends that I can see. Get ready. Did research for high school. It's just a lot. And I'm trying to be honest and real with myself, because I already at the end of the last school year, prior to everything kind of going amiss, I started to feel overwhelmed because I think it's not necessarily the book work, but doing that and trying to keep up with the other things, because they were actually interested in it. Like, they're really enjoying their sewing. And I'm not like a seamstress, but so I can sew. I can use a sewing machine, but I'm not like no expert or nothing. So, it's still quite a bit of work, trying to, take them along that journey. But anyway, not complaining. Point is that the goal this year is to take out as much Busywork as possible. So even though I like how this goes with the fixed grammar, we're not going to be doing this moving forward for none of them. Now, if it is later on for my younger two, once we kind of pass the 8th grade and settle into high school, if it's something that I think that they need once they get to the book 2 in this fixed grammar and moving on, it's something that I am willing to rope back in, because I do like this not fixed grammar, this paragraph editing. Now, this fixed grammar, I love this for my younger two. Absolutely love it. It is doing exactly what it is I wanted it to do, which is get them a little bit more familiar with the different parts of speech within a sentence, so that as they work on, building a sentence, a proper sentence, and building a paragraph, that they understand a little bit better how it is the words go together, because my younger two really struggles when it comes to the language arts, which is the complete opposite with my eldest. So it's a lot of work for me too, because I wouldn't necessarily say that it's the language arts, it's a strength of mine, but this is really working nicely for the both of them. For my eldest, I like this. For my older one, I do like this as well, because it is helping her to review any weak areas that she has within grammar as she gets ready to come out of the middle school years and enter into high school. So it allows for her to review and just keep up with what it is she has already covered in grammar, because she does a lot of reading on her own, whether it's through extra resources that we use, the Big Fat Notebook series. It really helps in that way. But this helps her to review, right? So we are going to continue with this for her as well. That was a lot. The good thing with that though is that it's going to allow us to focus more on literature and writing within the language arts, which those are the areas that we really need to work on for her as we are getting ready to close off the 8th grade. Now, we did this hardcore signatures for 7th grade, and it was fine. She enjoyed the stories enough. We stuck through it. This year, the goal is to try and find some interesting literature studies that she would be interested in doing. So we do have some already that I would be, sharing soon. But this worked, it worked okay enough. I do have some other literature books by Holt, and there's another one that I have there as well. So I'm not sure if we're going to, my plan was to use those, but we'll see, because I don't know, as I said, this was just, it was fine. I don't know if it necessarily challenged her. So we'll move along. So for social studies, we did 180 days of social studies with my younger ones. This is not necessarily an area that I am, I guess, diving deep as yet with them. I'm really focusing on the language arts and math for right now. So this was fine enough. You can't do this on its own though. You do need some other form of supplement to teach or expose them to the actual topic that they are doing. So if it is they're doing a lesson on Jackie Robinson, maybe they want to read, like probably have read one of the Who Was books either on their own or as a read aloud, or watch a YouTube video. For a lot of a few years, well, not a few years, since we started homeschooling, I've been using the What Your Kid Needs to Know series as my supplement for social studies a lot. If I'm to be honest, I do like the series. It has been a very, very great help for me from where I was coming from when I started my homeschool journey. But if I'm to be honest, I think I'm a little bit bored. I'm not going to get rid of it. It is a very useful resource, but I am thinking about, getting something else to use as a supplement as we continue with this 180 day series. But it's okay. For my eldest, we have been using the American History series, and similarly, these you need to be doing something along, and these just provide review. we have completed quite a bit, well, she have completed quite a bit of the US Constitution book and also the 1607 to 1865. We haven't done any in the 1865 to present as yet. She has been using the Big Fat Notebook series. We really do like that series. She's used that. We have some other like graphic novels for politics and government and the Constitution that she have read and we have as resources. And then we have some American and history encyclopedias that, you know, we would reference to be able to answer the questions here. Well, she will reference to be able to answer the questions here. Even though my intentions was just for her to focus on US history last year, she actually found, you know, was interested in reading along the reading about world history. So we kind of, you know, covered some of that as well. But I do like these for review. So we are going to continue with these as well. For my younger ones, we're finished with the level 2 writing language arts. I move a little slower when it comes to the language arts, sorry, for my 2 younger ones. We're finished with the level 2 and moving to the level 3. I really like the Writing with Ease series. With my eldest, we actually did the level 4 as well, even though that is not necessary. And that's because I really like the dictation within the Writing with Ease. I find it to be challenging, especially when they get to the later part of the level 3. At least for the level of, you know, writing that it is. I find the dictation to be quite a bit that's required of them to, you know, retain and then write on their paper. And it gets even tougher when you get to the level 4 if you do it. My eldest, I did challenge her because it's an area that she's strong, and I am glad that she was able to complete that, and I'm liking it for them as well. The funny part is that they actually enjoy doing Writing with Ease more than she did, but I like this Writing with Ease program. But I am looking ahead and thinking about what direction I'm going to be going with them when it comes to writing. Even though I am using the Writing Rhetoric of my eldest, I'm foreseeing that may not be the best, you know, curriculum, may not be the best curriculum for them. Not 100% sure, but, you know, pretty certain. I had taken out this building writing skills. I started off the school year with this, but then I took it out because none of them was really, you know, showing interested, neither my eldest or my 10-year-old. However, I'm going to be putting it back in more so for my 2 younger ones. And the goal would not be to really like finish any significant portion of it, but I kind of want to start really going into like one lesson at a time and testing it with them and seeing if it's the direction that we can go in after they are finished with the level 3 Writing with Ease. I'm also considering the Writing with Skill, which is from the Well-Trained Mind as well, but I'm considering that as well for them. So I'm going to be putting this back into rotation for my younger 2, but not really as a spine. I'll call it a supplement, and we'll see if it's something that we can use or if we just have to, you know, count it as a loss. This Writing Rhetoric is my eldest absolute favorite curriculum. It is the one subject that we still do together. She is pretty independent, but we still do the Writing Rhetoric together, and I do believe that it is a program that you kind of have to work alongside them. Once they get to the book 4, they start to do a lot more writing on their own. Well, they actually start like writing pieces, writing, you know, short essays. Whereas the first 3 books, you know, they weren't really writing like full pieces. Now, with this writing, with the book 3, I had picked up these outlining books that was recommended by another homeschooler that I really believe it's almost necessary to get through the outlining in this book. You can get away with just getting the grade 5 to 8 book. In another video, I shared these. And this one is grade 3 to 4. They're pretty thin. I did do a very quick flip, little flip through of them in that video. But I really like these. They were like $8.95 each at the time that I purchased them. They go really nicely with this. For this level 4, we're going to be, we just have a few more of the career examples that we're working through, and then we are skipping most of this. The last portion of this this writing rhetoric level 4, I am not necessarily a fan of. Plus, I think once it is the child is, they have a really good grasp on literal and figurative language in Proverbs. Sorry, literal and figurative language, and also like creating a paragraph and topic sentences. Once they work through a couple of the careers in here, I think that they'll be fine just moving on, because I have the level 5, moving on to probably the level 5 where they will actually start writing more and probably cover, a lot of those areas again. So the level 4, we're just working through as I said, we worked through 2 of the careers already. We're going to work through 1 more, and then that's it. But absolute favorite curriculum. Oh, some other supplements that we had got to go along with this writing was this creative, I shared this in that other video as well, this creative writing skills. Not that it's necessary or needed to go along with this, like that's how I feel about these outlining books. But if you have a child that's interested in really improving their creative writing, like they like to write, this is a really good resource. She read through this a couple of times. She doesn't use it as much anymore because her retention is pretty good. However, my 10-year-old, she actually really likes this, and she's using it almost like a dictionary, or she's using it as her own little resource that she goes to when she is looking for different ways to express color. She's looking to try out new adverbs and stuff. She uses it open book, and she goes over it. I've seen her quite a few times just opening it up and reading. And for a child who does not enjoy writing, I find it very encouraging that she is enjoying this book. This, together with writing on Google Docs, sometimes Word, it really has encouraged her to write more. I'm thinking maybe because she can make her letters look all fancy and put borders and stuff, even though it doesn't directly deal with writing. I think that is what is adding some form of interest. But I know that everybody feels differently when it comes to computers and their kiddos. So you, of course, have to make the decision that is best for you and your family. Right? So that was a great resource. Just some other things that we had gotten now. I had shared this plot book as well. It is not written for kids, but this one, it was written in 1988, and it is, it is child friendly, and it has helped her as well in dressing up her writing. She loves this book. Everywhere you see her, 90% of the time she has this plot book. So I went looking at the other books that's connected with this series. There are 5 books, and I took a look at all of them. This scene and structure book is also pretty good, and I kind of flipped through it, and then she has been reading this, and she actually find a lot of it, the examples funny. This is also child friendly. This one was written in, I believe, 1992 or 1993. So they're older books, but this scene and structure, so these 2 will come in handy, not just for improving her writing in the 8th grade, but even as she moves into high school, as I was looking through some of the things that they have to work on with their writing even in high school. Now, there are 3 other books in this series that were written later on that, I'm just not ready to expose my 12-year-old daughter to. So I will have to look for another resource for her for characters and viewpoint. It's a shame. Conflict and suspense, and beginnings, middles, and ends. But these are the other 3 books in this series, just in case you wanted to just, check it out on Amazon and take a look for yourself. But these 2 are pretty good. So we are going to go with that and try to find other resources to kind of go along with writing as we move forward to the new school year. Now, math. Now for math, I have used Math-U-See from more or less the very beginning for all of my kids. And even though they move at their own pace, this curriculum has worked really well for us. We have used, little supplements here and there throughout the year. So they have had exposure to math in whether it's workbooks, different online resources, the Big Fat Notebook series, and different things like that. So they are familiar with other, presentation of math, but Math-U-See has been our spine. This year, because she is finished with the primary levels, she just completed Zeta. I was considering this Learn Math Fast, and I did pick up the volume 3 for us to take a look at. And even though she did understand the way how it is presented in here, there's just some concerns, I guess, that I was going back and forth with myself and also talking to her about. And in the end, to just make it short, we're going to continue with Math-U-See. I don't want to find myself in a situation where we are having issues with this. And yes, there are math videos that we can go find and look at. But I really like the idea of it all being contained. The system has worked at this last 99th hour. Probably is not the best decision to, uproot something that has worked well. Plus, she's not a child that loves math. She can do math. She does well in it, but she just wants to get the lesson, understand the concept, do the lesson, and move on. That's her approach with math. So we're just going to continue with Math-U-See. Now, I have read quite a few times on different, whether it's blogs or comments and stuff, where some parents have expressed concerns that they don't want the kids to get dependent on using the blocks. And just from my experience, I can only talk from where we're at. So we haven't done the high school as yet, obviously, but none of my kids have ever shown dependency on the blocks, and that's even with having a kid that has dyslexia. My eldest, she used the blocks like up until the beginning of 2nd grade when she was doing beta, and then she didn't need it much at all until we were doing long division. For my 10-year-old, she used it well into beta, but Gamma, surprisingly, she used it at the beginning of Gamma, but most of the last school year, she actually did not need the blocks. Now, my youngest, because she likes to move and keep busy, and my approach, to homeschooling her in the 1st grade was so much, more light. I was so much less tense than I was when I first started homeschool, that quite frankly, I just allowed her to play with the blocks. She wanted to play with the blocks. She would spend a whole lot of time, just there building, houses with the blocks. So it wasn't because she was dependent on the blocks. She was just playing with the blocks. And, Mr. Demi, he does say that, just let them play with the blocks. But anyway, they've never shown any dependency on it. So that's not a concern of mine based on experience. With the decimal blocks that we got for Zeta, she used the decimal blocks up until she understood how it is to do it without the blocks. And after that, she have not been using my eldest. She was not using the blocks, the decimal set. So I'm not sure how that's going to play when we start pre-algebra and algebra 1 and 2, but we'll see. But so far in that area, I don't have any concern. Now, I had one concern, and that was, reading a comment, I believe, where someone expressed that they find Math-U-See might be light compared to like other curriculums. And how would that transition, like when the kids head into college? And there's only one homeschooler that I'm aware of that, her children use it all the way through. And based on her, her testimony, her kid was able to go all the way through college and she did fine. And I did read one comment somewhere where someone shared that they used it and they went to community college and they did not have any issues as well. And when I look at, I went on a couple, like some of these online high school, they share their coursework for the different subject areas. and I did check out like some of the coursework for like math and well some other subjects and compare it to what it is I am noticing like the coursework to be laid out in math, you see, and I can't see anything that raises any red flags. And my thought is that maybe they understand the math and that's why it might seem, light, or at least I would like to think so. But anyway, that's a long way of saying we're going to be continuing with Math UC. It's a program that worked really well for us. And even though I was considering moving to something else, that's probably not going to be a very smart idea. But I'm not close-minded to it. If we do have any problems, foreseeable problems, it's it's something that can be considered. Now, I did want to mention all about reading and all about spelling as I get ready to end this extremely long video. I have been using all about reading, all about spelling as well, all throughout our homeschool journey. And for my younger two, I was having a bit of problems with being consistent with using both of those programs. And I'm just being honest. And I think besides, just life happening, one concern that was kind of making it hard to kind of just keep up and be, motivated to kind of continue was I was noticing that a lot of times when we got to the word study in reading or the spelling words in all about spelling, there was just this disconnect between what it is they were actually learning and the words, the level, the difficulty of the words for that exercise. And quite honestly, I need to change how I use the program. I have been trying to use the program, like each level contained, and using it, I was trying to use it exactly how I use it with my eldest. So what I am going to be doing moving forward, God spare, is I took all the readers because both of them can read pretty well. We are just going through the different rules. Now, they are not going to remember all of those rules at all. So moving forward, we have the readers. They have been reading the level 3 and level 4 readers because they've read the level 1 and 2 readers so many times. And we're just going to go through the lessons. If they get the concept, I'm not going to be too concerned about remembering all of the rules. But we're just going to, chug along and continue with the level 3 and the level 4 and do it, just do it a little bit less structured. That's what I'm trying to say, right? I do like using the blocks with them. It keeps my youngest busy. She enjoys using the blocks. She actually enjoys doing the reading and spelling, and I think it's because she gets to play with the tiles. So we're going to continue with that, but I did want to share that, that I was considering changing and why I was considering changing, and I'm hoping that switching it up the way that I'm thinking is going to help. And, in a future video, I will, after we do that, I'll be able to express if it is that was able to kind of take care of that issue. Because I have read and noticed where other parents kind of had the same issue where, after a while they had to, they found that the all about reading and all about spelling wasn't working for one reason or another. Of course, everybody's situation is different. But anyway, what I am going to do, God spare, is add a vocabulary curriculum to kind of help with building their vocabulary and, more challenging words. Because, as I said, probably because we moved slower in the all about reading and all about spelling, the words that it has for them to practice in the all about reading and all about spelling for where they're at, being level 3, it's just not challenging enough, right? But anyway, this video took a lot longer than I was planning for it to take. But if you watched the entire video, thank you very much for watching. I hope that something in this video was helpful. If you have any questions or any comments, feel free to leave them below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you in another one. Bye.